Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now it's about time we had one of these here on my channel on Cornish Car Collectors. And that's because if you've seen it, then you'll know that I recently did a video kind of profiling all of the hot Mondeos. And I ranked them, which was my favorite and which was my least favorite, albeit of course it's a Mondeo. So they're all fantastic. You can hardly say that there's a least favorite, but I did rank them based on my personal preference, my favorite and my least favorite, as I've said. Well, I came under quite a bit of criticism, quite a bit of feedback from you all in the comments because I put this, the Mondeo ST220, quite low down in my list. And if you want to know where, you're going to have to go back and watch that video. And if you've already seen it, then great, please stick around because, well, I'm going to be revisiting this car, revisiting the ST220. I've had a few ST220s in the past. That's why I felt that I could kind of give my view of the car. But so many of you came back saying, no, Andy, you're wrong. These are fantastic. Get them up in the revs. They're fast cars. They're proper fast Fords. One thing's for certain, they're absolutely beautiful, particularly this example, which has to be one of the best. This car in machine silver, it's a saloon as well, which makes it that bit more exclusive, that bit more executive and premium, but in machine silver with the fantastic red leather Recaro seats. Just take a look at these. In fact, in the silver, there's no other choice of interior as far as I'm concerned. Honestly, the silver and the red look fantastic together. These cars, you see a lot of them in performance blue. Again, a beautiful colour, but you couldn't get the red seats in the performance blue car. They only came with the black seats or the white seats. These red seats, only available in the silver and the black cars. Really, really lovely. Now, this is Graham's ST220. Again, you'll have seen this car on the channel before because we actually used this when I went to collect my Peugeot 406 Coupe, that V6 car that I bought down at Anglia Car Auctions. We took this car, we took it to Caffeine and Machine. Here's some photographs and some footage of that. But we took it to Caffeine and Machine, and then I went up and I collected that 406 Coupe. Again, if you haven't seen that video, please do go take a look because that was something of an epic journey back. So in this video, let's go around the ST220. Let's celebrate the way this car looks because it really is fantastic. Let's talk about what's under the bonnet, a little bit of the history of this car, and then I'll take it for a drive and well, see if I was wrong that 6 months ago or so when I made that video. Really looking forward to driving this again. So stick with me. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments. Like the video. But for now, let's get on with looking at this car. So let's start off then by taking a look at Graham's ST220 Mondeo. As I've said, machine silver with the lovely red Recaros. But this car's actually a facelifted car. The Mondeo ST220 came out in 2002. I've actually had an early car. Here's some photographs of the one that I had. It was a bit of a rough example, if I'm honest. But this car, the facelift car, so it's got the different rear lights with the chrome, in fact, chrome right the way around the car, along the door handles, the front grille, the rear lights. This car also, of course, being a facelift car or a later car, actually has the 6-speed get-rag gearbox. My first ST220, that early car, had the 5-speed, and whilst it was a great car, the 6-speed, that get-rag transmission, really does transform it. It makes it such a great car to go on long journeys, on cruises, on the motorway, but we'll get to that in a moment. As for Graham's car, well, as I've said, it's the Saloon, which I think just looks brilliant. And well, as you know, I've got a silver Sierra Sapphire Cosworth, and this just feels, well, very, very similar to that car in the way that it looks. Such a lovely looking 3-box Saloon. But these, of course, were also available as a hatchback and as an estate. And I'm fortunate enough to have had a hatchback and an estate in the ST220. So not only does the Saloon make this car stand out, but also this car has pretty much every factory option. In fact, I think it's got every option. This car's got the inbuilt sat-nav and the Bluetooth telephone connectivity, which also has voice-activated controls. And this car has a sunroof. Wow, how rare. It also has folding wing mirrors with puddle lights and it has reverse parking sensors. What a well-spec'd Mondeo this is. And the other thing that I think really sets this car apart is the mileage. It's done under 60,000 miles on this ST220. Wow. Let's talk about ST220s more broadly. As I said earlier, these were introduced back in 2002, and the Mark III Mondeo, what sets this car apart from the standard ones are these lovely 18-inch diamond cut alloy wheels, a subtle boot lid spoiler, and big sports bumpers. And of course, those twin exit exhausts. Interestingly, only one side of which is stainless steel, produced from Ford from factory. Bit strange that. So whilst this car looks brilliant, I think we could all agree that it's quite a subtle looking fast Ford. And the reason for that, I believe, is that Ford never intended to make a high performance Mark III Mondeo. In the Mark II Mondeo, of course, you had the ST200. I've actually got an ST200. It's awaiting restoration in my car collection. A video on that as well on my channel if you care to take a look. But the ST200 Mondeo was the run-out Mondeo. It was the halo model of the Mark II, and of course built to recognise and celebrate the Mondeo's involvement in the British Touring Car Championship. But by the time the Mark III Mondeo had come around, well, Ford had stopped putting the Mondeo into motorsport. There was no motorsport for this car at all. But when they were building this car, Ford realised that the chassis was able to take so much more power. And well, this was the result. The 3-litre V6 naturally aspirated double overhead cam Duratec engine. Now this engine, I believe, was produced in Cleveland, Ohio, and was actually originally designed for Porsche until Ford bought it. And of course this engine, well, Cosworth had some involvement in the development of the cylinder head. And all of that culminated in an engine, in a car that produces over 220 brake horsepower, between 200 and 210 pounds-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of under 7 seconds. All very capable, very, very capable. Why then did I score it so low in my ranking of hot Mondeos? Well, we'll get to that in a moment. I think Ford sold around 12,500 Mondeo STs, of which about 15% of them were 3-litre ST220s, because of course you could buy this model in that 155 diesel variant, and you had the ST200 that came before it and the ST24 that came before it. So this represents about 15% of all of the ST sales. I mentioned earlier the mid-cycle facelift that happened to this car. There was another as the car moved from 2005 to 2006, approaching its last year of production. There was a subtle facelift that happened then. Some red stitching was added to the steering wheel and to the gear knob, and the front grille started to include the ST220 badge. And whilst those cars look lovely, if you live in the UK, you need to be careful, because when you buy a very late ST220, well, the road tax, what we pay to be able to use our cars on British roads, well, that shoots up to over £700 a year. This car limbo's just underneath that, but a late car, and I have had one, I'll put a picture up now, it had different wheels on it, but that car was £700 a year to tax. Wow, far better to get into something a little bit older, one of these mid-life facelift cars as opposed to the later ones. Anyway, enough standing here. Let's take this car for a drive. These ST220s may very well be subtle, but they feel so well engineered. Nothing rattles in here. The gear change just feels so solid. The steering is nice. They are great cars. did say that in my first video, and I'll keep saying it probably throughout this one. Now, I mentioned earlier how well spec'd these cars are, particularly this ST220, but sat in here now, I'm reminded of some other things that this car's got. It's got a 6-disc CD changer, opened the boot just now and saw that. This car's also got the xenon self-leveling headlights. It's got heated front seats and the option of heated rear seats. So those red Recaros in the back, well, they're also heated red Recaros. Yeah, what a well-specified car this is. That big engine up front really does pull this car along very nicely indeed. But it is a big engine, and they are quite well known for being thirsty, these cars. Sure, on a motorway run you'll get the high 20s, but drive this car a bit more enthusiastically, put your foot down a little bit, and well, that fuel consumption soon drops. And that's what you lot told me to do in the last video. You said, get down the gears and rev this car out, and that's where the fun of this ST220 really kicks in. So, got a straight road, let's have a go. Yeah, it's quick, it drives really nicely. It's a big car, it's comfortable, it's effortless. It really is a nice place to sit and cover miles. This car has got some really good mid-range punch and grunt as well. This really is a fast Ford, and while driving it along this road today, throwing it into these corners, it's handling them quite well for a big car. I've always said these cars are great, they're just not my favourite hot Mondeo. Right, let's get back and let's wrap this up. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that. What a brilliant car to drive. They really are. This is an excellent car and a really pretty car. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. And if you like your Mark III Mondeos, then don't forget there's another one on my channel, my dad's Mark III Mondeo. You know I love them because I've got one. My dad's car, a 2-litre, 130 horsepower diesel that I'm currently restoring. So if you've enjoyed this video and you like your Mark III Mondeos, then do stick around on my channel. Do tune in to those videos and see me bring another Mark III Mondeo back to life. But back to this, back to the ST220. As I said, an excellent car, a really pretty car. But is it an exciting car? I mean, that was my criticism of it, if you can call it criticism. That were my thoughts on the car when I originally did that Hot Mondeo video. Is this an exciting car? Does it fizz you when you're driving it? Does this car get into your heart? Does this car have a soul? And if you're a true petrol head, a real fan of cars, then you'll know what I mean when I say a car has a soul. I mean, does this excite me in the same way as driving my Sierra Cosworth, my XR Fords, the Sierra and the Escorts, the RSs, the Focus ST225 that I've got? Does it do that? I'm not entirely sure that it does. I think I was right in that last video when I summed up the ST220. It's a brilliant car, don't get me wrong. And if you're looking for one, this has to be one of the best. And I believe that Graham is currently minded to sell it. So if you like what you see, please do get in touch. This car will be going on the market and it is brilliant, one of the best. It's a great car. Anyone who loves these and wants to buy one, I'll celebrate you because it's fantastic and it's worthy of being, well, preserved and kept, treasured, because this is a brilliant car, the likes of which we will never see again. But for me, I'm not looking for one. I don't think I want one. I don't think I'll add one to the collection, but I'm so glad that Graham brought it along today and let me drive the car. I'm so glad to feature it for you, and I'm so glad to revisit an ST220. Look, if you disagree, let me know in the comments section below. If you agree, let me know in the comments section below. Or if you just want to celebrate all things Mondeo, then I'd love to hear from you. Please do give this video a like. Please subscribe to the channel to see more Mark III content. My dad's car coming soon, and that's a really exciting car to drive, those 130 diesels. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. Bye-bye.